Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? Ah, man, it is so good to have so much animes to watch, even if the animes in question are showing some relatively angering things, in my opinion. Like, I get pretty angry when it comes down to certain, like, aspects of like people taking advantage of characters and things like that. And it kind of messed up my mood, but at the same time, it's anime, so I understand why it was done. But in Goblin Slayer this week wasn't too much of an issue. I mean, we did learn a little bit of the Sword Maiden's background and get to see just what it looked like, I guess, for, her encounter. Excuse me, and just how rough that was for her, and to even think that she's been, dealing with something like that from since then all the way till now. Um, it's crazy to think that our main character is just like, oh well, that does really suck that happened to you, but I'm not ever gonna come save you and actually do what you actually would want. And I'm guessing what she truly wants out of all of the things that Goblin Slayer has done, and I guess she didn't understand really the meaning of his name, was he slays goblins. He doesn't care about the Demon Lord. He didn't even care about learning what the alligator's name was that helped kill goblins. He's like, huh, something that kills goblins? Yeah, I guess I'll kind of remember it, like, it killed goblins for Christ's sake. um, but then we get to the notion of just, what's really going on with her and like how she knew about everything practically going on down there. And it makes a lot of sense that I guess she wouldn't have been able to do well down there because time and time again we see that people just underestimate goblins and they're willing to, turn a blind eye to their overall just, natural way of doing bad things, in the sense of these goblins this week came in with arrows coated with something. Sure, we never learned what they were because I think it would have been like feces or something, man. Like, you gotta imagine that once goblins learn something about a human, they're going to take it to an unnatural degree of continuingly to try to do it. And that's what I felt like we got this week, and because of that, it just goes to show you that even now somehow they are learning to adapt, So if that is the case, we're screwed. Like, we really need to be careful. Or anyway, Goblin Slayer and them, they're screwed. They need to learn to be careful around every single goblin as if they just met them every time. Because if you look at it, every goblin that we've encountered in different places have gone with different methods of attacking, of gathering their groups. I mean, sure, this show is kind of like scaling the goblins to a higher level this week because, I mean, they're just doing that because of the show. You can't just have the same type of empty-minded goblins going against them. They want to make it a little bit more of a contest and stuff like that, which I understand. Which, if you look at it like that, there's this instance of the goblins are wearing like this heavy, super crazy armor, but it just goes to show you that that doesn't matter to Goblin Slayer. It doesn't matter to any of them because they just pretty much change their aim and their trajectory to the head. Hold on. Excuse me, sorry about that. If you aim for the head while they're wearing all this armor, it makes it obsolete, and Goblin Slayer's swings are so strong he cuts them in half, regardless of the armor. So it's just this whole notion that I'm noticing this little by little. The goblins continuously to get better. I mean, sure, this episode doesn't necessarily show that, but look who they had behind them to teach them things to become like a deadly force of, like boat riders and apparently. And the weird part is, like, with the mirror, I thought she was just like the one who set it all up, and all. I honestly don't know what happened here. These are one of the things that maybe the manga does shed a little bit better light on, which I'm gonna find out if this series takes a while to come back after its 12 episode break. Um, like I'll probably catch up with the manga and not go anywhere past where the anime leaves off. But I just want to know if they explain, if you have a better feeling that she's the one who set up the mirror, or if she was just the one that lived down there, or had some type of business, that she was a part of. Maybe there was a whole bunch of people that lived down there, and she was just one of the people to actually make it out. Seeing how she's a maiden, like the sword maiden, maybe someone came and like pulled her out and took the death for her before or right after she lost her eyes to a torch flame being put in them, man. Like that's so rough. She had it so rough. And to think Goblin Slayer like really doesn't care. He's like, "Oh, well, there's goblins. I mean, I will come regardless." And that was some good money we made. But if it's the demon lord, like, yeah, no. Like it's just not his thing, and I completely understand it, and I just hope that whatever we're getting with this whole series, that they kind of understand that, the show is called Goblin Slayer, we get it, but he's fought in, over 3 to 4 different types of monsters besides goblins now, so it almost seems like they're self-aware that it would make a better show if he wasn't just catered to fighting, one monster all the time. If he would go after anything in his way, he would just be, like a crazy character. But the goblin slaying part about him, keeping him tied to it, keeping him, only focused on it, makes the show that much more compelling when we do run into these other monsters. Because who's gonna let a giant monster eat them just because you don't fight that type of monster? You know what I mean? Like that's what Goblin Slayer is showing me at this point. It's just like if you get in the way, we will kill you. Like you do not want this. You do not want this, young boy. And by stepping up and catching them hands by the Goblin Slayer and the Goblin Slayer crew, that's not a good time for you, okay? We get to see the mirror utilized in a very interesting way. I think a lot of people might be a little bit disappointed with Goblin Slayer not really going against the big guy, but I think this is a better instance of how to tell people just how he can fight, how he can defeat monsters that are, got in, indubita super crazy strength that should be able to take you out in 2 hits, I guess, if you're Goblin Slayer. Even though he is wearing light armor that's meant to go against goblins, he somehow took a hit from that guy. So it just shows you how durable his body is, and it goes to show you that if he was training for quite some time, his body has been conditioned to take quite a bit of punishment, probably by his teacher. So we really, with the mirror being utilized, like the gate mirror, it felt like there was a bigger story behind it because of like the goblins and just where they look like they were. I mean, it straight up looked like these goblins were about to make a move on the capital. You know what I mean? Like they look like they were ready to take over 3 worlds, and it kind of just ends off with the whole. What I think they all get taken out because of Goblin Slayer's quick thinking, and straight up puts them in a situation where now, um, once they destroy everything in there, the mirror was facing up, so all the rocks fell into the mirror and was transported over to where the mirror is located, or like there's 2 sides of the mirror, and that's where it was the other goblins on the boat and stuff. So yeah, Goblin Slayer literally massacred 2 sets of goblins, and one of them didn't even see it coming. So if you were really sad about the action and stuff, I get it, but this was by far the smartest thing Goblin Slayer's done, right as of as of now in the anime. So I think that for me, that helps me not be like, oh my god, the action. Yeah, he didn't even jump and fight the big guy. Like, it's okay because he literally came up with this dirty plan on the fly after taking out an eyeball monster that he had to take out in a certain way that alerted everything. And on top of alerting everything, if he said if he was underneath the city, he wouldn't have done that tactic. So it just goes to show you that maybe he would have even had an idea to fight like head on, um, but that would have just had to have been, a time for him to he would have had to literally change everything. And that's the messed up part too is like I keep telling you guys in these reviews, they keep making the Goblin Slayer like weaker, man, in the sense of the techniques he can use. He can't use poison, water, explosives, or fire. And somehow he naturally breaks everything around and causes still something that would have led to like an explosion's worth of damage. Oh my god, man, like just let this man work. Learn how to deal with the poison, learn how to deal with the fire. Because if you don't, you will die. Period. And guess what poison and fire and explosions usually do? They destroy other things that aren't just goblins, okay? Like that alligator, if they had setting up some poison, it might have sucked up some of that poison and it would have been an obsolete threat. And sure, the meat would have been poisoned. You probably couldn't eat it, but it would have been out of the way. You know what I mean? And more goblins would have been done. It's just this group alone is being hindered because of some people's take on how they'd like to do things. But with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This episode is pretty much ending off with them going to somewhere where they can make ice cream treats. And if you can see me, for some reason rotating my hands like I am with having a bowl. But we're gonna see just where this could lead to. Knowing that there is so much this show could do, in the sense of just like continuously fighting and not stopping, in the sense of giving just action. We're at what, episode 9 now, and there's only 12, so either we're getting to a very interesting part of the story in the sense of we might be like left with a hook, like a big cliffhanger, or they might give a little bit of a definitive little bit of a ending because I mean, you got to imagine that they have some bit of information if they're well, if the studio anyway is going to continue with this. I mean, the CGI is kind of booty butt cheek, but I mean, regardless of it being like that, I still kind of enjoy this anime, the look of it regardless. So I want to know just what the studio is looking at for doing for this series. Is this something that they see bringing back, or is this something that they didn't expect to get so much things? I heard Crunchyroll, the whole PG-13 thing wasn't a meme, it was an actual thing. So that does help a lot when it comes down to giving it any type of, bad backlash in the slightest. Well, it's just that it was rated wrong on one of the biggest demanding sites of sub. So a lot of people were kind of bamboozled or bean boozled, whatever you want to say. uh, but yeah, with the show, I really hope that we can get as much support to it as possible so we can see, just what the manga creator had in mind for the ending of it, if he does have an ending in mind as of now. Some people don't even look towards the end until they're in the middle and maybe looking at all the options that they can do. So I hope he doesn't have an ending in mind so he can keep writing and doesn't have any type of writer block. So let me know what you guys know about Goblin Slayer in the comments down below. I really do read every single comment and I enjoy learning something new about the information you guys are giving me. So thank you so much for that. And with all that being said, I will talk to you in the next one. This guy's the best grab breaker ever. Oh my god. How did I miss that, yo? Alright, everybody. My anime. Peace! Boy, I'm about to get bodied. Yes, I just got bodied. I'll finish this, man, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. All right. Peace.